Okay, welcome everyone. Really early, not really a time for developers, but let's get going anyway. This is a session about Visual Studio Mobile Center. I'm going to tell you a story about Mobile Devops. So first a small introduction about myself. My name is Geert van Cruijsen. I work for Spirit as a mobile first, cloud first architect. Well, what does that mean? I basically work as a consultant and I go into companies and help them build better applications, either mobile or in the cloud or combined. Also, I'm a Xamarin training partner, training people to build Xamarin apps. This session is not purely about Xamarin. Demos will be built in Xamarin though. So, topic of today, DevOps. A lot of people who think about DevOps think about tools. And well, the session has a tool in its name, right? Visual Studio Mobile Center. So is DevOps only about tools? Well, in my opinion, it's not. And I think Donovan Brown, who is one of the cool DevOps guys at Microsoft, has a really good explanation of what DevOps is. It's actually the union of people, processes, and products. Working together to increase end user value. So really looking into how can we make better apps for our end users and how can we improve our process in that. And of course tools can help us with that. And in this session we'll have a bit focus on what Visual Studio Mobile Center can add to your process. But I want to look at it from a broader perspective. Let's first have a look at a traditional software development cycle. We start with plan and design, go into our development phase, and go into testing phase, deployment and release phase. And in a typical software development cycle, we see that most focus on quality is done during testing and during acceptance testing, etc. And well, that maybe worked in waterfall projects, but well, I guess who's working with Scrum or Agile? Well, almost everyone, right? So these cycles are getting shorter and shorter, so it's really hard to do all the testing and quality checks at the end of your iteration, because then you have an iteration of 2 or 3 weeks. First 2 weeks you're developing and then you're testing and you don't have any time to finish the actual product. So what DevOps is about and is a common good thing to do in your software development practices is to make a shift left, is what the term is called. And it makes you focus on quality in an earlier stage. Get a faster feedback loop, get feedback to your developers as fast as possible, get feedback to your product owners as fast as possible, get feedback from your users as fast as possible. Just get feedback from anyone as fast as possible, because that's the way you can build better apps with more data, faster, and using that data to increase your app quality. Looking at a typical cycle of all the stages, there are a lot of tools that can help you automate this process, right? So I only listed a few here, but there are several tools out there, hundreds of them, that can help you with automating your or listing your requirements, helping in development phase, build phase, release, test, etc. So just to a quick show of hand, who is doing mobile development and doing all builds automated and in a central way? So, well, half of you. Who's doing automated releases to testers or actually also to the stores itself? Yeah, getting less. Who has monitoring and tools like that in place to see crashes, to see user behavior? Also only a few. So, well, that's good. So there are a lot of tools. Today we're going to focus on a Microsoft specific product called Visual Studio Mobile Center in specific, but a lot of things will also work with other tools. To explain how this tool works and how the process works, I'm just going to tell you a story about a group of developers and how they implemented DevOps into their application lifecycle management. So meet Yin Yang. Yin Yang is a software developer in Silicon Valley, and he had a great idea for an application. He wanted to create an application that could scan your food and it could actually tell what kind of food you were eating. So, well, let's have a quick movie about explaining what he's building.
God.
What will you say if I told you there is an app on the market?
We're past that part. Just demo it.
Okay. Let's start with a hot dog.
Holy shit!
Yes!
It works!
Oh, motherfuck!
What's that?
Jin Yang, my beautiful little Asiatic friend. I'm going to buy you the palapa of your life. We will have 12 posts, braided palm leaves. You'll never feel exposed again.
I'm gonna be rich. Fuck you, Guilfoyle. Do pizza.
Let's do pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. Pizza.
Not hot dog.
Wait, what the fuck?
Eh?
That's it? It only does hot dogs?
No, and a not hot dog.
Right, so, well, Yin Yang had a great app idea. His friends didn't really buy the idea, but Yin Yang met Gavin, who is a big investor in Silicon Valley, and well, Gavin really believed his story that this app could be huge. So, well, Gavin gave him a bunch of money. So, well, Yin Yang, just spend all of your time on building this application, and let's get started. So, Yin Yang started with his favorite tools. He started out building his application with Xamarin, stored all his files on GitHub, and well, he used Visual Studio as his development tools. For just setting the scene, it doesn't really matter for Mobile Center that we're going to show later, though. So he started to build this app, and it's actually in the store now. It's only on Google Play yet, so if you want to, for some demos later on, it could be useful for people to actually have it on their phone. So if you have an Android phone, anyone here, then you can scan this barcode or go to xperia.it/seafood app. So Yin Yang started to build this app, and well, he had to send Gavin a lot of test releases because, well, Gavin gave him a lot of money, but he also wanted to see results, and he wanted to see results fast. So Yin Yang was sending him just sending him APK files through the mail every day, and well, this took him so much time. So he said, well, can't we find a way to automate this? And that's actually when he started looking for tools that could help him in his DevOps process. So then Yin Yang had a look at Visual Studio Mobile Center, and he wanted to automate his process to send his app to testers. So what he did, he created an account on Visual Studio Mobile Center. This is it, and you can just create a new application here. Add new application. And when I choose add new application, I have to give it a name. I'm typing Seafood 2 now because Seafood is already in there. Great hot dog scanning app. And I can choose the type of operating system that that my app is being launched on. So it's either an iOS app, Android app, or Windows app. And on iOS, I can have an app built in Objective-C or Swift, React Native or Xamarin. Those are the supported platforms. We have an Android application, so we can upload Java files, React Native or Xamarin application. Well, we'll go for Xamarin in this case. Most of the things don't change that much, whatever you choose here. So we're adding this new application, and we get some help on how to actually add the Mobile Center SDK to our application. It's quite simple. It's just a simple NuGet package and adding one line of code to your application. But this SDK is not needed yet if we're only doing distribution to our test users. If we want to do distribution, we can create distribution groups. So first we make a group called Gavin, and we can invite people to the distribution group. So it's Gavin at SiliconValleyInvestors.com. Now we have this distribution group, but we could also create multiple groups of internal testers and acceptance tests, etc. So we could create different types of groups for our testers. And when we have created this group, we can just say distribute new release, and we can upload a APK file that's somewhere on our disk. I'm not actually going to send it to him now, but well, this improved the process a little bit, a small step for Yin Yang. So Yin Yang started to improve his application, and soon he needed to have more people working on his project because he wasn't able to handle all by himself. So he started to hire some cool guys to help him with this application. He added Matt, who was his really cool guy who was really good at coding. James was more of they're all from Silicon Valley, so they all had really fancy job titles. He was a release ninja. Bob, the app quality rock star, and well, I was actually hired to help them improve their DevOps process. So, well, I'm just a consultant. I don't have any Silicon Valley job title. So they started continuing building their application, and well, James, who was in charge of releasing the app to the store all the time, he had some problems because well, they were sending these APK files to Gavin and to the other testers using Mobile Center, but yeah, each time they were just building the application on their own device, creating the APK file on their own machine, and they were missing features because people didn't add stuff to the correct place, and well, they didn't have a central place to actually build the application, build these APK files. So can't we just add that to our automated process as well? So, well, let's have a quick look at how we could do that as well. Mobile Center has next to, oh, it's not, where's my mouse? Next to distribute, Mobile Center also has a build feature. And when we want to automate our build process, we can select a number of services to get our sources from. For example, VSTS, GitHub, or Bitbucket. As I already told you, Yin Yang stored all his data on GitHub. So somewhere it's not hot dog. I would just connect our GitHub account. It will list all of your repositories, and it will see what branches you have in your repository. So in my example, I have 2 branches. I have a develop branch and a master branch. And then we can set a build for a specific branch. And setting up a build is really easy. You just select a project. You select if you want to have a debug or release build. Then when do we want to have this application, build to be ran? It can be every time your branch is updated, which is nice. So we leave it at that. We can also have it update our build ID at every build. So we can actually update our application to our testers each time. Otherwise, they will get messages that they already have this version on their phone. Then we can sign our builds. So we can upload a key store file. What's here? And we can add a number of other things. So we can make it test the application on real devices. What this test does is it will just launch your application on a real device somewhere in the Microsoft data center. It will then run the application, take a screenshot, see how much memory it is using, etc. You can also tell it to distribute builds. So for example, I want to have it sent to Gavin, our test group, at each build. So we'll select that for now, because Gavin really wants to have all the updates. And we have one advanced feature that will just show you a build status badge. If you want to do stuff on GitHub, you can put it on your README file, and it will show a badge if your build was failing or passing. So we can just save this and start building. And now the build is actually queued, and it will just start in a minute. Under the hood, this is using the hosted build agents of Visual Studio Team Services. So building will probably take a while, so let's just continue with the story. So we automated builds and we automated releases. But Bob, who was our app quality rock star, he was looking at the ratings in the store, and they were getting a lot of 1-star ratings. So how can we improve this? How can we get a 5-star rating? Well, we don't have any exception logging or test in our application. Can we automate it as well? And of course, that's also possible. So, well, let's go back to Mobile Center. And next to build, there's also a test tab here. And I'm quickly just going to open my existing project here that I made earlier. And these test runs, you can just look at all the logs here that have, this is a basic example of a test run. So it will only launch the application. But then we can have a screenshot of an actual device. We can see the memory usage. We can actually see all the details about this device. But we could also create a new test run. And once you want to add a new test run, you can just select a number of devices. So we want to have the Google Pixel, etc. We can just select a number of devices. We select these devices, and then we tell them what kind of test it should run. So is it Xamarin UI test, is it Calabash or Espresso test? And when we press next, we just get some commands. that you have to execute. So there's no integration yet in this product that if you have tests in your source control, that it can actually look up these tests in your source control and trigger those tests. That's probably coming in the future. Currently, if you have some tests in your source control, you still have to trigger them manually, which is still a bit of a shame. But it really helps in automating these tests. And we'll look into how we can improve this even more in a later stage. There's also crash reporting. So, well, we didn't have any crashes yet, and that's a good thing. But because when I'm building apps and Yin Yang is doing the same, when an app actually tries to crash, you can always catch that exception and at least give a friendly error to the user and not just make your app disappear. So one thing that Mobile Center is still missing is handling handled exceptions. So if I as a user had a handled exception, I want to log that, there's no option for that yet. It's on the roadmap of Visual Studio Mobile Center. They have a roadmap on their GitHub page, so you can see what's coming in the upcoming months. And handled exceptions is quite high on that. So they're working on that, but it's not there yet. So currently we don't have that good crash reporting. But if an app would actually crash, you could see the stack traces, etc. Right here. So the team started to improve their process, and well, Yin Yang was quite pleased because the ratings were going up, and well, everyone was quite happy. But yeah, they only still had 3-star ratings out of 5. So can't we improve this even more? And that's why Yin Yang hired Joe, and Joe is our growth hacker, common thing in Silicon Valley. And he really wants to see how are my users using our application, so we can add features that our users really want. So let's add user tracking as well to our application. So I have an analytics tab here, and what you can see is that how many users are actually using the application. Since yesterday, the users really increased, so that's a really good thing. I can see a lot of devices that were used by my users. I can see how many sessions that my users have on a daily basis. And I can also see the session duration. And I can also see what kind of versions of the application my users are using. I can also log my custom events. And currently this is the way I handle handled exceptions. So if an exception pops up, I just log it as a custom event, and I can add custom properties to this exception, so I know what is going on. Yeah, it's not the best way to log this, but that's the only way that Mobile Center is currently supporting it. I can also with the app you can scan hot dogs or not hot dogs. When I'm scanning hot dogs, I can log the certainty of how sure it is that it is a hot dog. I can get a description of the thing, and same goes for not hot dog. It's always funny to see what people are actually scanning. So people are basically mostly scanning other people. So this really helps us in how are our users using the application. So what do we need to do to add this to our code. It's actually really simple. In one of the first things you need to do is when your application is starting up, you need to add one line of code, or well, I split it up into 3, but it's actually one statement. So you just tell it to mobilecenter.start, and since this is a Xamarin Forms application, so I can combine iOS and Android together, and I give it the API key that I got from Mobile Center. So one API key that you can get from the portal where you create an app, you add it to that, and then you get all the basic logging out of the box. So you get the exception handling, you get to see what versions your users are using, when they're using the application, how long they're using the application. I want to log my custom events. That's actually quite simple as well. I created these really simple track events, like when they click the share button, I want to let me pump up the font a bit. I can just add one line, analytics.track event, and that will create a new event in Mobile Center. It will log this. So if you want to add more information to it, we could do analytics.track event. For in this example, the hot dog scanned event, and I can create a new dictionary with a bunch of strings. So in this example, I have a description with my description and a certainty. And this way, you're really flexible in what kind of information you're logging to Mobile Center. So he really saw how our users are using it, so we updated our backlog to focus on the right things. But a problem that's quite a common problem in the mobile space is that people tend to not update applications. So, well, that happened for seafood as well, and they were adding cool new features that users really wanted, but nobody was updating the application. So how can we trigger our users to get newer versions? So we asked Matt, how can we do this? Can we build something that helps us improve? And well, Matt, as a lead hacker, he really knew how to do this. So let's send some push notifications to these users and add push notifications to our application as well. And push notification is one of my favorite features in Mobile Center. First, let me show you how to. I opened the application here. Oh, there's still a push notification here. So I can send a notification, and when you're creating a notification, first you create a campaign name. And a campaign is just, why are you sending this message to which users? So I'm going to do test push during my talk. So I could just create a title and a message, and I could actually also add custom data that's not shown to the user in the push notification, but data that you could use as a developer to act upon that push notification, right? If you add the, for example, if you create a different kind of app, a news app, you could create the link to the actual news article in there and make the application point directly to that article instead of opening up the app on the main screen. So not going to add custom data here. Then I can target my my notification. I could just select all the devices. I could send it to specific IDs. This is only useful when you're targeting your internal testers, for example. But the nice feature is you could also select a certain audience. And let's look at this this audience. So it's my TechDays session audience. And I can add a number of rules to which users my push notification should be sent to. First, it's you can select it by app version, which is really useful when we want to send it to people still using the old version of our application. But we could select other things as well, so people in a certain country or using a certain device if a known bug is on a certain device. But one of the things I really like is sending it to custom properties in my application, and that's what I am actually doing. What I'm doing here is after I scan a hot dog or a different object, I'm actually storing the tag that was connected to that picture, and I'm sending it to or saving it to Mobile Center. So I have these custom properties. I could use anything in here. For example, if you have a news application again, you could have different categories. So you could have category of sports, set it to true. And if a user selected sports to true, then he wants to get push notifications on the sports category. So, well, really useful to have these kind of properties to send user-specific push notifications. And the nice thing is that these things are coming up in Mobile Center as well. So we can see that tag was a custom property saved on our application, and we can set it to a certain value. So if the person scanned a hot dog, we can add it to this, or if he scanned a pizza, we could send notifications to those users. Make it really useful to send specific user-specific push notifications. So for now, we're not going to use the audience, but we're just going to send it to all devices. I would just press send, and it will now queue the notification. It will actually send it to our device. Oh, it's actually there already. So it's really simple to set this up. So let's go back to my seafood 2 again. So if you want to set up push notifications, it's really simple. You only have to add this piece of code to your Android manifest and set up the things in Firebase to actually hook up your application to Android push notifications. And that makes sending push notifications, well, I've implemented it in less than 1 hour. So quite powerful. And the nice thing about this Mobile Center UI is that all the actions that I'm doing from this UI, so starting this build, starting the releases, but also sending out the push notifications, can either be done through this UI, but it's also API driven. So for each screen in the UI, there's also a REST API, so you could integrate it in your own applications. So, well, we kept on going, things were improving, but yeah, we were having some problems, and James said, well, it's really nice that we can automate our releases to our testers, but well, we're automating everything. Can't we just automate the whole flow, also sending it to our to the actual Play Store or iTunes? And well, I will show you in a minute that you can do that in Mobile Center, but it doesn't work that good. So and Matt started to grow a bit unhappy as well, because, well, this automated builder center was quite nice, but it's not that flexible. We cannot add any customizations to our build, right? It's just these 3 steps that we select true or false, and then we press run. So if you look at distribute, there's actually an option to go to the store. So I made a connection to Google Play Store, and you would expect that you could select a automated build here to push to the store, right? But currently it's only just uploading an APK file. And yeah, why would I upload the APK file? You could just upload the APK file in the Google Play Store itself, right? Because there's no option to select a APK file from my actual releases here. We first have to download the APK file and then upload it again in another screen. Of course, this is something that's on the backlog of Mobile Center as again, but it's just not finished yet. So Matt was starting growing a bit unhappy, so he started to look at different tools that could complement Mobile Center. So what he started to do is look at Visual Studio Mobile Center, looking at Visual Studio Team Services. And he started looking at builds in there. So when you look at Mobile Center, Visual Studio Team Services, who of you is using Visual Studio Team Services on their project? Okay, quite some people. So Visual Studio Team Services has a lot of extra features compared to Mobile Center that you could use. For example, create this build definition. And this build definition, yeah, it's a bit more complex to set up compared to Mobile Center, but we have all options here to really customize our process. One of the things I would like to do in Mobile Center that I wasn't able to do is all my files are stored on GitHub, and I'm using cognitive services to scan the images. So I have an API key. I don't want to have that API key in my open source stuff on GitHub. So I would like to inject that API key during my build. We could do that in VSTS with all kinds of custom tasks that we have here, right? We could just create a small script that we could execute that replaces this value, and then run this build. And another option is releasing to the store. And Matt wanted to have a really full-fledged release pipeline, so he made this pipeline that first sends the application to its test users, the test users that we created in Mobile Center. It would then upload the application to the Google Store in the beta channel, and after that it would upgrade the application from the beta channel to the production store, but it would only send it to 10% of the users of the application, so we could granularly update our application to all our users. So let's have a look at how we did that. First, sending it to our internal testers. We have 2 phases here. First, we have the test phase. So this does give you the features to send your automated tests from your source control automatically to Mobile Center and then execute these tests. And after that, we can deploy it to Mobile Center and give it a specific group, so the application is sent to our test users again. After that, we can send it to the Google Play Store to a beta channel by making a connection to Google Play Store and then selecting the track, the beta track here. So we did that, and between all these phases we can have a manual intervention step, so someone has to improve to deploy to the next phase. So then we're deploying to our production ring. And when we go into production, we just use a promote step. Google Play Store promote, because the application is already in beta. We can just promote the beta channel to the production track. So we select our application, tell it to go from beta track to destination track. And we could use production, but then we have one step going from beta track to production track. We could also do a phased rollout and tell it to only roll it out to 10% of our users in the production track. So by doing this, we can have a really limited surface of our users using the application, and if the app is crashing, etc., we can see it for only this set of users, while 90% is still running the application that was working fine. And after that, we can use the same step in a next phase to roll it out to even more people, to see if it's all still working, are we getting more load on our system, etc. So we're rolling it out to 30% of our users, and in the final step, we roll it out to all of our users. So VSTS really gives you full control of your release pipeline compared to Mobile Center. So first we had a look at Visual Studio Mobile Center, and then combined to Visual Studio Team Services. The team really made an effort and went from a 3-star rating to a 5-star rating, and Gavin was really happy, and well, everyone was really happy, but because well, money was flowing in. So well, that was my story about Mobile Devops. Let's have a quick recap on the actual process that we defined and that we looked at. If you look at Visual Studio Mobile Center, it really helps you in a large part of this process, right? From build all the way to operate, with well, build still being a bit limited, but releasing to your testers works really well. Testing works really well. Crash analytics is well, it's coming there quite well, and it will improve in the future. And push notifications and user analytics are actually well, quite good. And if you combine Mobile Center together with VSTS, you can actually well, use it to automate your full process. And I think this combination can be really powerful. When you start looking at Mobile Center, it's currently free because it's still in preview as well. So it will be general available somewhere this year, I guess, but nobody knows. They are quite active on GitHub and on docs.microsoft.com. They are quite open on their roadmap, so you can see what is coming in the future, what things are still not working but will be working in the future, which is well, deploying to the store. Currently, yeah, I wouldn't use it. Those handled exceptions are really important to have, so you can actually get full stack traces, full error messages of the exceptions you caught as an app developer. As I just said, well, it's really hard to have some secrets that are in your code to replace them. How can we handle that? And one feature I would really like is to have a common application, Seafood, and in there I would have a iOS and Android sub-application. So if I would send a push notification, I could send it to all my users, and I doesn't care what operating system they are using, right? Because it's in the end, it's the same application running on 2 platforms, and now everything is really focused on either the Android application or the iOS application, so you have to do everything twice. So my time is up. Thanks everyone for coming this early. I know it's not a real time for developers, so thanks for being here. If you have any question, please visit me after the session or come to the Expert booth. Thank you very much.